Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Fazbear Entertainment would like you to put your hands together for the one, the only, Freddy Fazbear.
Rewritten! Content warning. This video is not made for kids. It contains fictional depictions of mental illness, fictional violence, and fictional abuse. The fictional characters in this story are heavily afflicted by the things that I have spelled out to you, and some of the inner monologue seems to suggest that they should be getting hurt like this, but that is absolutely not the case. Me portraying this abuse or mental illness is meant to show the audience how the illness or abuse feels inside of the mind of the afflicted person, so they can sympathize and maybe stop themselves from following a similar pattern in the future. Be careful if you are easily triggered. You're most likely about to enter the mind of someone who is heavily afflicted by illness and abuse. Viewer discretion is advised. The last time Gregory felt terror like this, he had been held hostage by Vanessa while Freddy pleaded for his release. His mother cranked the keys in the ignition, the car sputtering to life. Gregory's hand was still over the broken handle, a part of him wanting to jump out and run back into the police station. But running away was bad, and bad kids went to jail forever. His mother didn't say a word to him. She stomped on the gas, the car jutting out of the parking space without a drop of caution. Gregory fumbled with the seatbelt, managing to click it into place moments before his mother pulled out onto the main road. His mother was supposed to turn left in the direction of their neighborhood. Instead, she turned right. Fear fluttered inside of his stomach, his mouth opening and closing a few times without forming any real words. He reached to the handle, then lowered his fingers to his knees instead. Maybe she just made a mistake. She was hungover. Maybe she was about to realize that she wasn't going the right way and make a U-turn. His black eye throbbed as he waited for the jerking motion of the car turning onto their usual route. It never happened. His mother still hadn't said anything. The only sounds were the puttering of the gas engine and the pounding of his heartbeat. Gregory hated being in this car. Before he had been homeschooled, the kids in his kindergarten class teased him about his mother picking him up in a gas car instead of an electric one. They were probably the only family in that entire school that still used a gas car. It was old, it was broken, and the trunk smelled like sweat and bad breath every single time he was locked inside. And now this old, broken-down little car was picking up speed as they merged onto the highway. Gregory squeezed his eyes shut, holding onto the seatbelt as the gas engine squealed in exertion, rising to a deadly speed in a matter of seconds. He didn't want to look out the window, he didn't want to see how fast the scenery would flash by, but simply closing his eyes would not protect him from whatever his mother was about to do. "Where are we going?" Gregory's voice was nearly cracking beyond recognition. "Why did you say that?" His mother's snarl somehow rose above the gurgling sounds of the overworked engine. "You would rather live with the robot? The robot that almost killed you? Seriously?" Terror writhed inside of his gut like a fistful of worms as the car accelerated, pressing him back into the seat. His eyes flew open reflexively, showing everything to him in horrifying detail. Trees, concrete dividers, the pointed tips of neighborhood homes, it all blurred past into streaks of green and gray, like chalk being washed away in the rain. Other cars failed to keep up with his mother, falling behind as they let her pass them up. "What, am I not good enough for you?" his mother hissed, her glare palpable even from behind the sunglasses. "After all that I've done for you? I carried you for 9 months and let you live in my house for 10 years, and you still want to leave me for some overrated mascot?" His mother leaned further onto the gas pedal, the car lurching even faster, making his heart leap up in the back of his throat. "No!" Gregory squeaked. "No, I was just saying..." "What? Saying what?" "I was just saying that he was nice to me." His mother gave a harsh, sarcastic laugh at that. He has to be nice to every kid that he comes across. You realize that, right? You're not special. Even though you were probably the brattiest kid he had ever run into, he still had to act like you weren't. Do you really think he liked trying to not let you get yourself killed? You think that was fun for him? The engine roared again, his spinal bone digging into the seat from the force, the outside world flashing by like strikes of lightning. A tree branch, a billboard, a sign, a blue minivan. The worst part was that his mother still had her head turned towards him, the sunglasses nearly falling off of her face, the claw clip of her hair letting split ends fly loose. The road! Gregory cracked out, sucking in a breath as a 16-wheeler truck swerved out of their way with the blare of its horn. Do you want to go to jail? His mother shouted over the cacophony of the engine. Do you want them to know how bad you've been to me? No, Gregory stammered. No, I was just... Another deafening horn cut him off, his mother glancing through the windshield long enough to get back into her lane. Take it back! His mother demanded, the engine roaring faster and faster. Take it back, now! I'm sorry! Gregory blurted out. I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't mean it. I want to stay with you! Instantly, his mother's foot lifted off of the gas pedal. The momentum carried them a few hundred more meters, but her eyes were now back on the road, guiding them back to match the pace of the cars around them again. Gregory was still absolutely overwhelmed of terror, gasping for air between sobs, his heart beating against the walls of his ribcage like a crazed prisoner of war. He hadn't even realized that he had been curled into the fetal position, his fingernails digging so tight into the seatbelt it felt like it might strangle him. He stayed locked in that spot even when his mother pulled off of the highway back into the main road, sobbing, I'm sorry. Satisfied, his mother flicked on the blinker so she could make the U-turn back towards home. Incident report. On June 12, 2081, a group of 11 teenagers from ages 16 to 19 hatched a plan to steal from the Pizzaplex. During the day, they lifted away one of the ceiling tiles in the bathroom and climbed inside. They stayed hidden in the ceiling until closing time, and once the mall was empty, they crawled to their first store of choice and lifted the ceiling tile just above a security camera. They duct-taped the lens so the camera couldn't record them, then got down from the ceiling and prepared for the next stage of their plan. Obviously, Vanessa saw that the camera was covered up, so she sent the signal to wake up Moon and get him to check out what was going on. When Moon entered the store, he only saw one teenager stuffing random items into a large backpack, so he jumped on him and used his catchers to restrain him. While Moon was calling the police to report that he had captured a thief, the oldest of the group snuck up behind him and hit the back of his head with a crowbar hard enough to make Moon fall. After several more strikes, Moon's head was damaged enough that his motor functions were severed, similar to the paralysis that the technicians induce on them before procedures. This caused his body to shut down while leaving his mind fully aware of what was going on around him. Working together, the group of teenagers used a battery-powered saw to cut Moon's head clean off. When they finished, the teenagers began to steal everything that they could get their hands on, while Vanessa was still unaware of the situation due to the disabled security camera. The teenagers seemed to think that beheading Moon would kill him and let them have free reign of the place. But when they saw Moon's headless body get back up again, they panicked and scattered in all directions. From a separate camera set up in the mall's lobby, Vanessa saw 11 screaming teenagers fleeing from the store. She assumed that there were multiple thieves and Moon had only been able to capture a few before the others got away. So she sent the signal to wake up the other animatronics so they could track down the remaining trespassers. At this point, nobody else knew that Moon was hurt. Moon was left decapitated and alone in the store for 13 minutes. DJ was the first to see what had happened to Moon when Moon's headless body staggered out of the store and ran into one of his legs by accident. DJ was horrified and began calling to the others that Moon needed help, rushing Moon down to parts and services while Vanessa contacted the technicians and told them to get to the Pizzaplex immediately. All 11 boys were eventually captured by Freddy and the other animatronics. As of now, the police are still trying to figure out what to do with them. The teenagers are all pointing fingers at each other and saying that it wasn't their idea and someone else forced them to, and we currently don't know which one actually decided to cut Moon's head off in the first place. Either way, they are all definitely going to get in big trouble for this attempted robbery, trespassing, and destruction of property. Despite what an injury like decapitation would mean for a human, Moon survived. The animatronics' vital parts are kept in the chest cavity, not the head. The only thing inside of their head is their processor with all of their programs and protocols, so other than being effectively blinded and deafened, an animatronic could probably survive without their head for 7 days at the most. The technicians reattached Moon's head without issue. Once he woke up, the extent of the damage was more psychological than physical. Without his head, the redactors in his processor had been disabled. During those 13 minutes when Moon was headless and alone in the store, he had used his hooks to carve this message into the carpet. "It bit me. Tell Mom I'm okay." We talked with him after. He asked to forget. The carpet was replaced within 12 hours. Assessment. I have added a feature to all of the animatronics. If there is any damage to the head, the animatronics will fall unconscious. Once their systems have fully scanned to ensure that the redactions are still intact, they can wake up from this knockout state. I don't want them to go through even more unnecessary trauma if damage to the head can cause the redactions to deactivate. Maybe Vanny's theory was right. The longer that they are alive, the more that they remember. But they don't want to. Moon was crying when he begged us to erase it, and I just couldn't say no to him on such a personal decision. It's tempting to try again, but I don't want to do that to yet another person. I don't want to make even more people suffer like that. I don't want to fail everyone more than I already have. If we try again, it will have to be me. Victor Miller. Woo! Okay, so before you leave, remember to leave a like and comment about your favorite part. It really, really helps me out, and it only takes you a few seconds, and since I've worked so hard on this already, it really, really helps me out, and it's just a small way to say thank you, you know? So, also, sorry for this episode being a day late. I got caught up on homework, and I had to prioritize college over this episode. So unless something goes wrong again, the next episode is going to come out 2 Sundays from now. So 2 weeks from now, we'll get another episode. That's about it. Bye. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Bye.